everyone, it's Shane Conto, your Wasteland reviewer, and welcome to the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. And this is my weekly show where my guest and I play some movie roulette and randomly select a movie from my enormous watch list. And hopefully you can add it to yours as well. But joining me is our fearless leader of the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. It's Mike Hilty. Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm always down to watch whatever random movies that you decide to allow me to watch. So, let's do this.
Well, this wasn't music over a chicken embryo this time, but this time we have The Man Who Laughs. And this came out April 27th, 1928 for its New York premiere and wide release November 4th, 1928. An hour and 50-minute film directed by Paul Lenny, based on Victor Hugo's novel, a real example of that German expressionist feel. No dialogue has it has no dialogue, but does have like a matching score to go along with it. So we're still dealing with that silent era a bit. Used movie tone sound system introduced by William Fox of, famous Fox Studios. Lon Chaney rejected the offer to play the lead in this film. Carl Laemmle pushed hard for the film after the success of The Phantom of the Opera. Lenny and Conrad Veidt landed gigs after the success of Waxworks, which was a film they worked on together before this. Mary Philbin, who also played Christine in The Phantom of the Opera of the time, joined the cast as well. This had a $1 million budget at the time. It was a big influence for the Universal horror universe. It was a heavy influence for Brian De Palma's The Black Dahlia.
Mm.
And Veit's grin was the influence for the Joker and DC Comics, which it's easy to see why.
Yes, very much so. You want to know
But
how I got these scars?
you want to know how I got these? We're gonna hold trials.
Make it fast.
Now, when a proud noble refuses to kiss the hand of his despotic King James in 1690, he is cruelly executed and his son surgically disfigured. Well, what a synopsis for the movie, because it's just like the like the very beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, or maybe this one's better. Forever disfigured by a wide, mirthless grin on his face, Gwynplaine, the orphan son of a nobleman, rescues blind baby girl Dia in cold 17th century England. Taken in by paternal carnival philosopher Ursus, the unloved boy grows into a kind, honest man and chooses to hide his grotesque deformity behind a black cloak, utterly convinced that the beautiful Dia will never truly love him because of his horrible secret. Feeling unworthy, Dia's noble feelings and Gwynplaine's soon crosses paths with the aristocratic temptress Duchess Josinia. As a cruel and long-standing conspiracy in the palace of Queen Anne presents him with the burden of choice, will poor Gwynplaine, the man who laughs, renounce everything in the name of love?
Yeah, that is a much more comprehensive description of the movie as
Now that's
opposed
a
to
synopsis.
that's a synopsis because that first synopsis that you read is literally the first 2 minutes of the movie. That's it.
Yes. But what are your general thoughts on those first 2 minutes and the whole rest of the hour and 48 minutes of this movie?
Well, when you first gave me this as the movie that we were going to watch, I wasn't quite sure what to expect because we talked about how this character is the influence for the look of the Joker. And
Yes.
here I am thinking that, oh, this could be a movie about criminals. This could be a movie about, just I don't know. Like I was expecting a horror movie, and this is to me, this I would not consider this a horror movie. I would consider this more of a romance or a love story, if anything. And
Woo wove.
marriage is what brings us together today. I I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to, and because maybe it's because when I was in college, I had to read Frankenstein more than once, and to me, Frankenstein is like an amazing story about the way that people treat or the way that society treats people who look different.
Mm,
And to me, that is the core of what this story is. It's just this guy is cursed with with this face, this creepy looking face.
mm-mm,
Um He's constantly smiling and like, God, I'd hate to have him around for like at the beginning of the movie when he discovers the baby and he brings uh her to Ursus. He's like, "Why are you smiling right now? We just discovered that this baby is blind." Is like, I and he finally like takes a look, is like, "Oh. Oh, you you can't help this. Like
mm.
that sucks for you, man." And this to me also epitomizes, hey, we found love in a hopeless place, you
Yep.
know? And these two that they grew up together, that's as close to being, I guess for lack of a better word, soulmates as it is,
Mm,
because he saved her life at
yeah.
the beginning. I definitely was not expecting that
Mm-mm.
to happen, but
It's
yeah.
it's an interesting film because it's something that obviously has romance. It has like the horrors of humanity
Mhm.
are explored in it. Is it a horror film? That's a stretch.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely has that period drama
Mhm.
kind of feel. Very much so like big wigs and all that craziness of the setting, the costuming, all the technical aspects of this film I think really work. And like the paired score with it's very
Oh,
powerful.
the score in this is really good. Yeah.
Mhm. Really works well with the film. I think you have Paul Linney who really understands that feel of noir, so it's like that darkness. And I think that was helpful for this film that's supposed to be giving that darker kind of vibe. I think Conrad Veidt does a fantastic job of selling this and
Mhm.
selling,
The grin and
the yep,
well, and because there's no dialogue, you have to rely very heavily on your body language.
yeah,
And despite the fact that his mouth is just permanently altered,
yes.
that doesn't change the fact that you can tell when he's upset about something literally by everything else about him. It's it's his eyes, it's the way that he slunks down when
Mhm.
somebody says something. You can tell a lot by that, and that's just amazing. And
Yeah.
that's where you got to give credit where credit's due when you kind of have a tougher role because you can't say any of this, but you could still convey it just with your body language, and uh, that's what all of these characters do very well.
Well, and obviously Veet has a big role to play here as this titular character, but also trying to sell so much, like you said, underneath that those teeth, the mask, just everything. And it is eerie and unnerving, just his look. And I feel like that might be why this is considered a horror film on some level. It's like he is the horror,
Yeah,
which is mean, but
it's mean, but it's also
realistic.
it's realistic, and Victor Hugo he does that a lot in
Yeah.
his stories. Just
Apparently has
points
a
the
thing.
lens points the lens at society. It's like, hey, you why does society treat people this way?
Mm.
I can tell you it's because society's filled with assholes. There, I said it.
There's only three types of people here in this world. There's dicks, there's pussies, and there's assholes. Um, and yes, you're welcome. And here, this film like really dives into like, especially in like its third act and climax. It's like there's some big scale. There's a lot of costuming. What this really sells. There's so much that, like you said, that are going on in the performances of somebody who's never showing their mouth, and also somebody who, with Dia, who's blind, and that's so significant. And like that moment where she finally like puts her hand,
Touches, yeah. And
that's
she doesn't
powerful.
care, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was that was really sweet. And like one could argue that like he was he hasn't had a whole lot of happiness his whole life because this happens to him at a very young age.
Yeah.
And um this movie kind of takes an interesting turn when you get the whole thing with the royalty at the
Mm,
end. Um yeah, it's interesting because you're not exactly sure if he's gonna want to take the bait and be like,
yeah.
"Oh, I want to have this grand life." And you're not sure if he's going to be seduced in a way um, to take this life of royalty and what is rightfully his at the end of the
Mm.
day. That's kind of what sucks about this whole story.
Well, that's the thing. He is a child of a nobleman
Hmm.
who's just disfigured and has lost his father, and it's it's a tragic but moving love story.
Hmm.
I think it makes me concerned that like this is the kind of film that, would garner this kind of, you see this in like the Elephant Man and stuff like this, where it's society, it's the mob, it's the collective that shuns people that are different. And this film very directly like deals with the aristocracy and the classism and stuff like that. So this has layers for
Hmm.
sure in terms of thematic standpoint. And like I said before, just from a technical standpoint, it's extremely well shot. It really has that black and white feel. I think from like the very beginning, it felt different and dynamic and interesting in terms of how it was shot and how certain things were portrayed. And it does, I feel like, a lot with some of those limitations. Really has some great cinematography and how this is shot. Gilbert Warrington, who was the cinematographer on the film, and just some really powerful performances, especially from Veet and Philbin, who are trying to bring a marriage together despite the fact that, you know, this dynamic between these two characters, like we feel for them. And we go on this journey, and this story has some scale. And certainly Victor Hugo's has some familiar beats that
Hmm.
you would expect in his stories. If you ever experience Hunchback, it has those kind
Oh,
of
for
beats as
sure.
well and stuff like that. But I was pretty impressed by this film, technically, emotionally, and just some iconography with like just him.
Hmm.
Like this is, and like even just like the slick back hair, and I'm just imagining it as green,
Hmm.
and just having that Joker look. And it's so interesting because to a point where I think they had a they had a particular Batman uh graphic novel that was Batman who laughs.
Hmm.
And it like shows him meeting the Joker for the first time and like hitting on that influence from this film specifically.
So I watched this on my phone for a good chunk of today just to recap
Mhm.
it. And anytime that my phone would like time out, it like the poster was orange and it's just him and that grin. It's like, I don't like this. And one of my coworkers even came up to me to ask me a question, is like, what are you watching and why? I'm like, oh. Yeah, this is it's too much to explain. I'm sorry. Can you just ask your question now? But
Well, and like some of these posters are scary, and
they
they
very
play up like his white face, and like this is 100% the Joker.
oh yeah, for sure.
As
And
we're looking at pictures that you all can't see because this is an audio podcast.
yeah, yeah, but I do want to give a shout out to Ursus as well, because
Mm,
it's because of his kindness that he is able, or that Gwynplaine, right? That's how you pronounce it, Gwynplaine, uh,
yeah,
gets to have somewhat of a okay life. It's not a great life because he's like a glorified clown at the end of the day. People are just laughing at him. And as sad as that is, at least he's got a house over his head. He's got people who care about him. Ursus and his dog Homo.
the wolf. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So um yeah, this is very poignant. I really enjoyed this. I love the music and the set design as well. Just like at the very beginning, you kind of just zero in on all these statues, and then all of a sudden one of these statues opens to reveal a secret door, and
yeah.
um, and you don't get very many things where it's like, oh, this guy died by Iron Maiden. Cool. That's that's interesting.
Iron Maiden.
Put him in the Iron Maiden. Excellent.
Excellent. But
That's
no, this
that
is
that's all I could think of when they
yeah.
said put him in the Iron Lady. Like that's not what it's called, but that's fine.
But no, this is a sprawling like it has that like high society feel and this classism conflict and you know I think it's a bit cliche at this point, but like that life in the carnival for people that have these unfortunate circumstances. And I just feel like this film had a lot really going for it. And I think it'll be interesting if people check this out and really like, well, there's the Joker. There's the
Mhm.
Joker for sure. This is before he had his one bad day.
I which is weird because you'd think that for him every day, because he talks about
Every
how
day's a
sad
bad day.
he talks about how sad that he is and how depressing it is. And even with this noble woman who like she kind of like she's aroused by him, but also she's like also super disgusted by him too. That's got to be the weirdest feeling on the face of the planet. It's like I don't know how to feel about this, and it's super complicated, but it's also for a nefarious plan because this guy cannot catch a break ever.
No.
But
At
yeah,
least he had Dia in
at
his
least
life.
he had Dia.
There you go.
All of us just striving to just find our Dia in the world.
There we go. But those are our thoughts on The Man Who Laughs. But Mike, thank you so much for coming on and talking movies with me.
Thanks for giving me all the weird ones, Shane. Appreciate
You're
it. Or
welcome.
I wouldn't say this one's weird. You've given me a very diverse array of movies. And you
You
know what?
certainly have had a diverse array of movies so far.
And you know what? I'm all here for it. So thank you.
And thank all of you out there. Make sure to like, comment, and share on this episode. What's your like go-to classic German expressionist film? Because we all have them, even if yours is Tim Burton. Because Tim Burton had plenty of them. And just made movies with modern technology like them. And make sure to follow or subscribe to listen to your podcast. We have plenty of new shows coming your way here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network. Always looking for guests and collaborators. So make sure to reach out. And if you like our logo, make sure to check out HiFlyer Creative for all your digital marketing needs. But most importantly, thank you as always for tuning in and supporting the Wasteland Watchlist here on the SPDM Crew Podcasting Network.